Hi, this is David Mastio, California editor for the Center Square, and this is California in Focus. As always, I'm joined by Kenneth Schrupp, a California reporter for the Center Square. Today we're talking about California's poverty rate and a new plan to alleviate it. First, Kenneth, what's the news on poverty?
California has the highest poverty rate in the nation at 13.2% living at or under the poverty line. But if you include people who are also near poverty, that's up to 1.5 times this something called California Poverty Measure poverty line. It's a cost of living adjusted data point. Then you're at about 31.3% of Californians are at or near poverty. We are not the rich, glittering state that you think we are.
When you say that California is number one in poverty, does that mean California is actually worse than Alabama or West Virginia?
Well, GDP is higher, but the ratio of people who are very poor is higher than West Virginia or Mississippi. I'm not saying those communities are like that, but coastal elites and bi-coastal people tend to think that they are poor.
How can that be? Those states are much poorer than California.
Their GDP is lower, but everything is much cheaper. So if you are making much less money, but your cost of rent is a fifth or a tenth of what it might be in California, and the food is cheaper, and the gas is cheaper, and everything is way cheaper, then you're really not feeling as poor.
So explain to me what a universal basic income is.
Universal basic income is a concept of where you, instead of giving people all of this money for social service programs, you instead just give them money that they spend more responsibly, or at least that's how it was envisioned by Milton Friedman. In California's case, this money will be given out on top of existing welfare programs, just as monthly spending money. And it would be about $1,000 a month for youth in Ventura County, which is north of Los Angeles, beautiful Surfside community, and another 150 youth in San Francisco who are also former foster youth will receive $1,200 per month. This total cost is going to be about $5 million for the two programs. And it's called a guaranteed income pilot program, which means that even if you decide to get a job, or you decide not to get a job, you can, whatever you decide to do, you will just get the money.
What does it look like when this concept is fully implemented? A universal basic income, is it for everyone?
Well, the idea of a universal basic income is that everybody gets it. This is instead a targeted welfare income. An actual plan like this would be, let's just say, extremely expensive, and it would not be clear how anyone would pay for it.
And it would be on top of Medi-Cal, housing subsidies, food stamps?
This is on top of federal, state welfare programs, housing subsidies, Social Security, state supplementary payments, really everything we already are paying for, Medi-Cal. It is all on top of that.
Can California afford all this?
California really can't afford all of this. We keep on seeing more of these policies encourage people or drive people out of the workforce in really sad ways. I think we can first look to the expected fiscal impact of raising the healthcare minimum wage to $25 an hour. When it was passed in the Senate and signed into law, it said unknown fiscal impact. Well, the initial reports are in, and it will cost the state at least $4 billion next year just in higher costs for Medi-Cal. We're already facing a significant budget deficit this year, I believe something like $14 billion. And this additional $4 billion is something that we're going to have to make a lot of cuts to other programs to afford. We keep adopting these new programs that we think are going to help make people better off, but instead it's just impoverishing them. We have the $20 an hour fast food minimum wage that is going to start next year. And already these fast food companies have said, okay, A, we're going to raise our prices, but B, and this is just from other reports, that they actually expect to not see their total spend on labor increase despite the large minimum wage increase. And you have to sit and wonder, okay, well, how are they going to achieve that? They are automating more systems. They are going to be laying off a lot of workers. They're going to be shutting down a lot of their locations in lower margin areas, which are often disadvantaged communities. So there just won't be another set of entry-level jobs there that are available. And we're going to end up with a lot more Californians who don't have access to any local food, who don't have access to these easy entry-level jobs, and who are instead going to have to turn to more supplemental government programs for assistance. But the question, of course, is, well, who's going to pay for it if you don't have anyone working anymore? And how are we going to make ends meet? We're really going to have this challenge come hit us in this coming year when we see capital gains taxes go out the drain. California has the most volatile state income of any state in the country because most of its money comes from capital gains taxes from IPOs in the Bay Area or very high income earners paying state taxes. And we're seeing them all leave for places like Texas and Florida and Nevada. And we're not having any IPOs this year that are coming out and bringing in billions for the state coffers. So what is going to happen in the next 2 years? I'm really afraid to see.
I'm David Mastio with the Center Square, and we've been talking with Kenneth Schrupp, California reporter for the Center Square. You can read his work at thecentersquare.com. Thank you for listening to California in Focus, and please subscribe to our podcast.